So as I began to explore, what did I want to share with you today? I was watching something on YouTube, and they talked about alchemy. And then I was talking to my friend Niranjan earlier last week, and he talked about how this guru that he's known since he was a young lad, like 12. So he's known Guruji, I call him Guruji Frank. He's known Frank for like 30 plus years. And he said Frank was going to go and he was going to take lead and make it into gold. I found that very interesting. And so I really started to explore the idea, and I started looking, what was alchemy? And when I studied it, what alchemy's been throughout the years, it's been the idea that a scientist can take lead and through some chemical formation, some chemical concoction, some shifting of molecules, can make it into gold. I said, ooh, that's interesting, but I've never seen it done. Have you seen anyone do it? I would love to see it done. And then I started thinking about this idea of spiritual alchemy and what does it really mean? And then I started looking at the ancient sacred books, because you've got the Bhagavad Gita, you've got the Upanishads, you've got the Quran, the Torah, you've got the Bible, you've got all these sacred books, and they give you all this information. And what happens with us as humans, we tend to make it all and take it very literal. But it was never meant to be literal. It was meant to be symbolic. So let's look at taking lead and making lead into gold. And if we take it and we go into the human experience, the human psyche, it means taking our ego, our attachment to our ego, taking our attachment to the physical body, and taking it into the gold, into the connection with the infinite power and presence that we are. Do you see the symbolism of that? And what you're doing is you're literally taking the energy that you feel with this mind, with this body, and you're shifting that energetic so that that energetic becomes infinite. It becomes a divine expressing. Isn't that fascinating how we can make that happen? We have that power in us if we so choose to use it. And here's the key thing. We are free to use it, but we're going to be always using it whether we're free to or not. Do you get that? Because this power, this presence, this law is always working. It's always creating our lives. It's always responding to the nature of our thoughts. So we're going to continue to explore that from the idea of coming from alchemy. So Ernest Holmes said this: the law of mental equivalence says that we can possess any objective thing provided we have a subjective mental image of it, and provided this image is the real embodiment within our own thought. So Ernest is basically saying we can have any human experience that we desire. So we first have to what? We have to create a desire. We want a human experience. Then once we have that, we've got to what? We've got to subjectively create a mental image. We've got to really embody what is the image of what I want. I've got to not only create an image, I've got to surround that image. Yesterday, my wife likes musicals and cheesy movies. So, being the gracious and loving man that I am, I said, would you like to go see Mamma Mia? And so we went and saw Mamma Mia. And it is really cheesy. And you feel good when you come out. Because the music is what? It's an energy, it's a vibration. And you feel good with the music. Now, here's the key thing. The movie was about the daughter creating the image that her mother built in her mind when she first went to Greece and saw this place that she thought could be the hotel that would be the most magnificent thing in the world. So she had to, and you could see how it was being, the director was portraying it. When she went there as a young girl, when Donna went there as a young girl, she went to this broken down, ratty building and there was no image that it could be a world-class hotel or something like that. But in her mind, she could see the possibility. She could see the possibility so great that she could transfer that energy to her daughter. And after the mother died, the daughter built the image. And see, that's what we've got to be able to do. We've got to be able to find the subjective view of it. We got to be able to find, how do we create that image? And so that takes work. And you see, provided that this image is a real embodiment within our thought, we have to embody the image. We've got to live the image of the person that we're trying to create. And that embodiment is what prayer, affirmations, spiritual exercises, retreats, all of that are about one thing: building the new image that we want to have ourselves be. Because when we become the image, we will have it. It's not that we have it and we become it. You've got to become the mindset of a multimillionaire to be a multimillionaire. You've got to have the mindset of having a healthy virile body in order to have a healthy virile body. Here's the thing: if you do not have the mindset, you can do all the work. You can eat all the foods, exercise and that, but if your mindset's not there, you're not going to be healthy. I really don't care, because it's all controlled. The mind processes. Ronit will tell you that I am an anomaly because in her scientific view, veganism is not a healthy lifestyle. And yet when I'm tested, I'm all healthy, because there's one difference: is I believe at every part of my being that for me, my lifestyle makes me healthy. And I've tested it and I proved it for myself. Now, I'm not trying to convert you into any way of being. Do you get that? You've got to find out the way to be for yourself, and then you have to mentally embody it. You see, that real embodiment means you got to believe that when Brian Brickman makes his totally healthy, magnificent beef brisket, you've got to believe that when you take a bite of that brisket, a glowing golden light of divine wisdom flows through your body. And as that barbecue sauce just falls down your chin here, you find the muscles just bulging out and you are healed. Now, if you can believe that, it'll work. I don't know that Brian believes it yet, because what your belief is demonstrated in your outer experience. The creative principle can express itself only in terms of the instrument through which it flows. So get that. The divine power can only express itself through the instrument through which it flows. You are the instrument. You are the instrument. It is your belief. It's your thoughts, words, actions, and feelings aligned toward a specific result. Those specific results that you've aligned it to, held for a period of time, persistently and consistently, demonstrate. If it's not demonstrating, you've not held it long enough. You've not gone deep enough. You've not embodied it deep enough. Hypnotism. Let's go back a lot of years. Let's go back to before my son was born. So this would be 1981, I'm guessing. I'm in Tampa, Florida. I'm a smoker. I'm 2 packs a day. I'm a drinker. I drink coffee. I want to quit smoking. So what do? It's painful. Hardest thing you could ever do. I go to a hypnotist. Hypnotist hypnotizes me. I quit smoking for 2.5 weeks. I didn't quit drinking, so you're in a bar. What's it natural to do when you're in a bar? Pop up a cigarette. Hey, can I have one of those cigs? Come out of it. I hadn't changed my image of myself. The hypnotism worked, but there's work that goes on beyond that. You've got to change the image of yourself. All these tools work, but it only works as long as you allow it to. And that's where the image was. So, what happened 3 years later, 2 years later? I'm carrying my son, 9 months, 6 months old, whatever. 9 months old, it's March of 84. Carrying him like this, going out to the mailbox in Tampa, weekend, got my bathing suit on, got a cigarette in my mouth. And he looks at me. I said, oh crap. And I flipped it. Never had a cigarette since. Because I couldn't imagine myself being a good father and smoking in front of my children. It was at that moment I was able to embody the new Lee. Because the reason I quit was not for me, it was I wanted the image of me so that my sons would model that. At the time I only had Stephen as a son. But then I had to embody, what does it mean to be a non-smoker? And so I share that with you because 2.5 years ago when I was in Peru, and I was in the jungles in the Molucca doing ayahuasca, well, part of the ceremony there was it's all about smoke. And they have this sacred tobacco, and one of the things is the shaman, as you're there and you're flying, your mind is expanding because you've taken ayahuasca, you're on journeys into the cosmos, into the ethers, and you've got no control of what's going on. And the shaman's coming over and he's going to give you a cigarette, and you've got to smoke the cigarette. And I called the helper over and says, can't do it. He says, what do you mean you can't do it? I says, I can't smoke the cigarette. He says, it's not a cigarette. This is sacred tobacco. You've got to do it. It's part of the ritual. I says, not going to do it. He says, you got to do it. Everyone's here. You'll break the rhythm. I said, you don't understand. I've identified death with smoking. That's how I got over it. I identified that smoking for me means personal death. And I says, I cannot smoke. So he went over to the shaman, they mumbled something in Portuguese, and he came back to me and says, can you take the cigarette from the shaman and can you just hold it? I said, yes, I can. So when the shaman came over, did his ritual, I was handed the cigarette, I held it off to the side like this. Shaman finished his ritual. When he was done, I put the cigarette out on the ground and moved on. I share that with you because I could have succumbed to race consciousness, right? What is race consciousness? The collective consciousness around you. I chose to honor my consciousness, and I was in a situation where the pressure was there. My mind was, I was seeing things coming out of the ground, eating my legs. That's how crazy, when you're on this type of thing, it takes you into a journey. Your subconscious plays out in ways that you don't know. Now, am I ever going to recommend you do that? Never. It is unnecessary. I'm just crazy. In our case, the creative instrument is our faith, belief, acceptance, mental equivalent, spiritual embodiment, and our emotional embodiment of the desired outcome. Do you see how much work there is to get what you want? Mentally, emotionally, physically, visually, you've got all your actions, you've got to really put it all into place. That's what an alchemist knows. An alchemist knows this formula. And an alchemist follows the formula because he knows at the end of the tunnel there's gold. And the gold is the connection to what you desire. Whatever we inwardly conceive, we outwardly experience. And this is because our external is a reflection of our internal. Get that. This is the one that just sucks. Because whatever's inside is going to reflect outside. And we don't like to hear that. We don't want our outer world to be that. So here's the interesting thing. The world right now is crazy, isn't it? There's craziness out there. If you follow any of the news, get on Facebook. The crazies are out there today. They're out there every day. If you buy into all that stuff, you will become crazy. Question is, where are you going to put your energy? Where are you going to put your focus? Because what you absorb internally comes out. I had a friend call me this week. Said we were together like 2 weeks ago, and you were different. You weren't radiating the same energy. I said, okay, tell me more. Says you are normally a golden yellow. That's how she described it. And there's words that she associates with golden yellow. And she says you became green. And she described the words with that. And I didn't want to be green. I want to be yellow. That's yellow. Yellow is what I'm seeking to experience. It's joy, it's happiness, it's a connection to all that is. It's a positive aspect toward life. It's about balance. So I started reflecting, and I realized I was consciously choosing to feed a lot of information into my mind that was taking me out of my connection. And so what it was I was listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson, clinical psychologist out there, and he's got some wonderful stuff, absolutely wonderful stuff. But also in that stuff, there's a lot of negative contrast going on around it. And when you absorb something to a large degree, which I was, probably 8 to 10 hours of YouTube videos on it, you absorb the energy of what you watch. Did you just hear that? You absorb the energy of what you watch, you absorb the energy of what you hear, you absorb the energy of what you read. Is it consciously what you want? I wanted the information he had, but I didn't want the energy that was building around the information and all of the experience around it. I didn't want that. But what happened was, it was in me, it was externally in me, and being externally in me, it was reflecting in my outer world. That's why you have friends. Friends tell you when you're out of vibration match. That's the only reason you have people in your life. You don't want people in your life that are, oh, you're so perfect. Oh, you're this, oh, you're that. You don't want that at all. You want people that know what your dreams are and hold you to that truth. Because that's how you expand and that's how you grow. No person is an island. We live in our own world where creative power responds to the nature of our thought. So in our own world, the creative power within us, as we use it, creates our experience, okay? We live in community where the creative power responds to the collective thought of the community. Do you get that? So in this community, there's a collective thought, and the power, the creative power, will respond to this thought. Do you get that? So get this. We can choose our own personal world. We can choose what we feed in our mind, right? We can choose that. We can choose the community in which we live as well. This is not just the physical community. This is the television community, the YouTube community, the podcast community, the Facebook community. I am unfollowing, I can't tell you, thousands of people on my Facebook page. I've got 4,200 or 4,300 Facebook friends. I'm unfollowing a lot of people. I'm not unfriending, I'm unfollowing because I don't want the negative energy in my world. Conscious choice. I'm going to purify my world. It's not that I'm not going to ignore the world, but I don't need to have it bombarded at me the way it's being bombarded. I'm getting to create my atmosphere. There is no such thing as utopia. I want to break the myth. I mean, every religion says you die and you go to heaven. There is no utopia. Do you get that? There will always be contrast, and our job is to see the balance and live in the contrast. Think about it. We have a physical body. We have senses. These senses are there for us to feel. In order to feel, there has to be a hot, there has to be a cold, there has to be a joy, there has to be a hate. There has to be these things. And we're going to go in and out of them no matter how pure we are in our thought. We're going to go in and out of them because it's our ego that brings us into that. And then, here's what we have the power to do. We have the power through our tools to bring ourselves in moments into balance and see life through the divine, to become the observer, and to see that life is truly always in balance. One of our community members is up north. Her father's about to pass. And she called, we were having a conversation the other day. And I said, in this moment, you are being challenged more than you've ever been challenged. I know, it's overwhelming, yada, yada. I said, how are you being equally supported in this moment? Think about, where is the support coming from? Because in the very moment that you are being challenged, you are equally being supported. But we've got to open up to see it. What happens is we're like a camera, and we've got a long zoom lens on it, and we're zoomed in, and we're focused on this one aspect. And all we're seeing, we're being challenged. But if we were to put the wide-angle lens on the camera, we would see over here, oh my God, there's an equal amount of support. See, that's seeing life through the eyes of the divine, because the divine sees everything in balance. The alchemist takes lead and turns it into gold. The spiritual alchemist takes the contrast of this life and is forever and eternally reshifting it and reshaping it and recreating it into the dream that we hold the highest within our minds. And the alchemist doesn't give their power away to anyone else, because they realize that the only person that can create their gold is them. The only person that can create your gold is you. Let's pray.
I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972-532-6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.